Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread and use a mix of these two decks from Maruk X off their Etsy shop. One is kind of like a Kipper deck, one's like a Lenormand. And we're going to see what's going on in Aries energy, possibly. And we're going to read it from different perspectives because, you know, life's about learning these lessons and freeing yourself from things that manipulate you to grow and heal and mature yourself. And everybody's at different stages. Some people could be in more shadowy energy, more about themselves, more about their ego or their image or self-indulgence to make them feel better, or it has to be more about them or bossy and controlling or something. And other people have kind of tempered that nature within themselves and kind of outgrown it, but some other people haven't. So I view this as the overarching reason for the reading, which says the marriage card, but as a general reading, you know, some people are married, some people want to get married, some people are in relationships with people they want to marry, but in overall, people are going to take those actions or not take those actions because of what they're aligned with within themselves. So I kind of look at the marriage card as kind of like the Two of Cups. And in our free will, we have the free will to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, or more love ourselves and the world. And that's kind of what we're married to, you know. So again, that also then makes me kind of think of the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy, because what we align with, like within ourself, and Taurus has to do with our philosophy of life, how we view ourselves, how we view the world, what we think is just and fair. If we're more caught up in the world, or the ego, or the image, or the status, or the indulgence, or love, is going to determine probably what people we are willing to move forward with in relationship or friendship and which people we aren't. And at the heart of the reading, we have the Hammer, which is fire sign energy of Aries is a fire sign, and then Leo and Sagittarius, which again, you know, fire sign energy can kind of be what drives and motivates us. Are we more about ourself, our ego, our fear, you know, these different things that manipulate us, and still got some lessons to learn? Or were we inspired to kind of wrap our brain around this game of life, learn lessons in life, temper our fears or our ego or whatever, to like walk away from indulging our more immature worldly nature, or people in our life that are like that we could have love for them, and move forward, trusting that the divine has a plan for our life, kind of balancing out our emotions. In the Mountain card, which does say Capricorn on it, but I also view it as Virgo energy, putting in work and effort. High vibe Capricorn is about freeing yourself from the devil. The devil can be our more immature, shadowy nature, these things that manipulate us. And we have to put in work and effort to free ourselves from the devil. We have to, instead of harnessing a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy within ourselves, we have to put in work and effort to free ourselves from those things that manipulate us. And that means you have to put in work and effort. In the Tree card, which says Virgo energy, and this card also reminded me of Virgo, we have to do this work to get down to the truth of what at the core foundation of ourself, kind of is what the tree can talk about. What is the truth? In high vibe Virgo energy, we go within to see the truth, and we come out being a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person. So in high vibe, the pentacle is about truth and love. We offered ourselves truth and love to love ourselves, to free ourselves from things that manipulate us. We then get to go to the next stage of life because we'll repeat certain patterns until we learn the lesson we're meant to learn at that phase of life. And then it's like, ding, 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 you get to go to the next phase of life. You learn the lesson you're meant to learn. And some people are doing that. Some other people might be trying to look like they're moving forward in life differently. Like, look, I got a new friend. Look, I got a new job. look, I got in a new friendship or relationship, or I'm wearing different clothes, or I have more money, or, kind of more of these superficial things to try to look like we're moving forward. But some people didn't do that inner work. They're just trying to balance out their emotions about the fact that they are more emotionally invested in being in a relationship, to be in a relationship, be in a job, to have a job, be in a friendship, to have a friendship, but not for these reasons other than truth and love. But, we all go on these journeys. Aries energy, also represented by the Fool card. We go on these journeys in life because we got these lessons to learn. And as we kind of go on that journey to learn these lessons, then it might be like, oh shit, there was maybe something I wasn't seeing clearly, or, um, this circumstance is kind of the environment that's kind of going to make me have to deal with the truth. Either I keep moving forward, more about me, more about the world, more about whatever. And some people will just keep moving forward in it. And the fact is, you know, making that free will choice that I could put in work and effort and be motivated and inspired by love, but I'm not. So I'm, everybody should live their truth. And if the truth is some people are more about themselves, they are more about these things of the world, then they should get in relationships with other people who are motivated by those same things too. We all kind of like to hang out with people who kind of view life the way we view life and like to go invest their time, energy, and effort into the same things we like to invest our time, energy, and effort. And that will be an experience for them to either keep moving forward like that or until they kind of get sick of it. It's just like every phase of life we've been at. We were 15, 18, 21. We go through these phases of life, and then it's kind of to see the truth that, well, that phase of life is over, and I did kind of learn what I needed to learn. Do I really want to stay like a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old forever? But the thing is, when we're young, we can have a lot of peer pressure to buy the world for us to keep kind of facing our fears and meeting some of these minimum requirements, like you've got to learn how to go get a job, you need to move out, you need to maybe learn how to drive depending on where you live, and all these different things. And so we're kind of forced to do that because we do live in the world, and we want stability and security, and we'd like to be in friendships and relationships. And if we're being a complete slacker, people probably wouldn't be our friend or be in a relationship with us. So we can all kind of do some of the minimum things, and some people really, put a lot of work and effort. But some people could have had the idea that when I get to a certain stage of life, like I've got a job or I'm in a relationship, then I don't want to do that anymore. I'm good. and and so then those can be people who, whatever stage of life where they seem to have a good job, maybe have a friendship group, relationship, or whatever. Then they're like, if that happens at age 30, it's like, I'm good. I don't have to be inspired to do anything any different or look at, keep healing or growing and maturing myself. I have these things of the world that I like. They just might have a problem if they're in a relationship with other people who want to keep kind of, because at every stage of life we have our shadow nature of our fears and our insecurities, or our past pain and heartbreak, or things that manipulate us. Other people keep doing that work within themselves to keep shedding old layers of themselves. But there can be people in the world that is like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to live my life like this. I'm going to look at myself, view the world, view the other people. I have this idea of what I think is just and fair and how I view the world, and that's that. And they're probably going to have some people move on from them, right? Okay, so what could be going on in Aries right now? We have despair, fulfillment, and the ship. Well, we all have gone on these journeys and moved forward in these relationships, right? And or jobs, whatever it is, and we move forward in it. And then, we might kind of realize that something we hoped would be emotionally fulfilling and that a dream was going to come into reality. Again, we have to be willing to get out of our ego. We make these decisions in our life, and in, we have free will. So instead of going this way, we go that way, or this way versus that way, whatever it is. You got to pick this friend versus that friend. Date this person, not date that person. Take this job, not take that job, right? Are we willing to kind of get out of our ego to learn lessons in life? Oops, this didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. Are we willing to invest in loving ourselves to, in the ship card of Aries energy, be inspired to work through? In the imprisonment card, this card, has an emotional figure imprisoned, and the feminine figures can represent how we think and feel. We thought we were maybe going to close out a cycle. We were going to move forward in something, that things were going to be different this time. And then it maybe didn't work out the way we thought. Well, are we inspired to free ourselves from things that kind of get us up in our head? Are we willing, again, in fire sign energy, to, the fox says Scorpio, which is about the fact that we're these emotionally complex human beings, and so are other people. But this fox card also reminds me of the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, which is, that we had this dream, but it didn't quite work out the way we wanted. So, are we kind of willing to deal with the truth? Because if I don't see the truth of why that didn't work out, I might just go repeat it all over again. And, a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship. Well, I don't want this to keep happening, right? And so some people do decide, we might repeat a certain pattern, because again, we'll all repeat certain patterns over and over and over, and we'll have different kind of people come in our life and different type of people we're drawn and attracted to. And they could have a lot of similar ways of interacting or treating people or something that we don't like, and treating us that we don't like. But why do we keep finding ourselves in that situation? Are we willing to deal with the truth? How did I contribute to that not working out? Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? Because the only person I can change is me. I can keep hoping and maybe get in more mismatched, imbalanced relationships with people, always hoping that I can inspire them to change. Well, it's one thing to offer people love and encouragement in life. It's another thing to get in a more involved relationship with them when you know that they maybe don't have some hope and faith and belief in love or in themselves or in others. Maybe have some past issues from their past that they haven't really worked through, or they could have people in their life that kind of manipulate them, that don't really work with them cooperatively, but because, they love those people, friends or family, whoever, that they keep hoping those people will change. It's like continually looking back at people and I hope they'll change. I hope they'll change. I hope they'll change. And everybody's hoping other people will change. And it's just this, everybody staying imprisoned. And then we decide, the only person I can change is me. I do want to deal with the truth. If I needed to heal and grow and mature myself, I want to do that. If part of it is that I could get in relationships or friendships or situations more because I'm sad, and the fulfillment card can be emotionally, I want to feel better. Well, we can get in relationships to feel better. Some people get in more romantic relationships to feel better, but it's not really motivated and inspired by love. It's because I'm sad and I want to feel better. Other people could invest in a lot of other things in the world to try to make themselves feel better. But that is kind of looking to things to be the answer to make us feel better, but we didn't really deal with what was at the core of the problem. You know, say we did something that was hurtful and unkind, and some people moved away from us. Well, are we going to keep wanting to, you would think of a fox and hiding in the woods, and you could equate the woods to hiding amongst the people of the world? I don't want to reveal the truth. I don't want to deal with the truth. I might have done something that kind of has me in a mental prison. Maybe I did. Maybe I was more about myself. Maybe I wanted to go indulge myself in something, and maybe I was in a mental prison, and maybe, so I could have been sad, I could have been in a mental prison, but I didn't choose to invest. The pentacles can also mean like investing time, energy, and effort. I didn't offer love to myself. Aries energy here, Aries energy is about the self. I didn't offer love to myself or the situation. So then we have two people, or one person, whichever, more people, lots, we've all been there at different times in our life, who emotionally kind of turn their back on the divine support card, which can be, we could have people in our life who are more loving and encouraging, and we kind of turned our back on them. Maybe because those people were trying to offer us the truth, wanted to offer us love, but, if we haven't learned to love ourselves, we can reject people in our life who are trying to love us. You can still be like a loving person, but, oh, no, 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 not me. People don't really love me. I haven't learned to love myself. So I think I'm kind of more drawn and attracted to people who, like me, also maybe haven't learned to love and believe in themselves. And we could be supportive people to each other, and again, we like to hang out with people that are on the same page as us, right? You could look at this if you think back to when we were young adults or teenagers, right? We had loving and encouraging people who knew more than we did, and we could have had more older friends or more emotionally mature people in our life. People can tell us the truth, people can be loving and encouraging to us, but until we kind of incorporate that within our own foundation of self, it's not really our truth, right? And we could even say, I agree with you, the way I'm living my life, this isn't working out. And I know what you're saying kind of makes sense, but I don't get it. I don't, I want to do better. I want to feel better, maybe, but it's just not where I'm at. And sometimes, just like we've had people in our life kind of wish us peace, that it's like, I could see that you keep repeating some patterns that I don't think are that healthy for you, and I love you, and I wish. I can't make you free yourself from those things that manipulate you. I can't make you love yourself. I can be a loving and encouraging person in your life. So the tree can mean a foundation that we have with people. If that's in a friendship group, in a workplace, in a family dynamic or whatever. And with the mountain and Virgo kind of, typically I view Virgo as like the mountain card, because we either learn to overcome those obstacles or we figure out a way to get around it or go under it, not letting things be obstacles in our life, not letting our more worldly nature be an obstacle in our life, a roadblock. But it does take work and effort, and the Page of Pentacles can represent, or the Ace of Pentacles can represent all three of their signs. Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. It takes work and effort to free ourselves from things that manipulate us, right? And so when we kind of have these lessons learned, which some people in the world are, haven't learned some of these lessons yet, we can again invest harnessing this energy in a shadowy way where we invest more in these things of the world, in Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo energy, in our earth sign energy of self. We are inspired to look to those things of the world to be the answer to make us feel better. I'm going to go get in a relationship. I'm going to go indulge in this. I'm going to put in work and effort to have a certain status or image in the world. You know, whatever it is that we think will be the answer to making us happy. But the truth is, until we deal with some of this past pain and heartbreak and learn to invest in kind of loving ourselves and get inspired to put in some work and effort to work through things in our life that have disappointed us, how we've disappointed ourselves, and how we could have done things that we're kind of up in our head about, or we had other people uh, act in ways towards us that kind of have us in a mental prison, and maybe fearful of getting in new friendships or relationships with people because we maybe could have dealt with people again who harness this energy in a shadowy way. And maybe they were more shadowy. Aries can be kind of bossy and controlling, trying to control the situation, or they can be more about themselves, more about the status and the ego and the image, and just feeling like we were deceived and manipulated. You know, everybody has their truth. Everybody has their truth about ultimately, at a core foundational level, and the imprisonment card is like the Eight of Swords, and the 8 and the 9 and the 10 of Swords is Gemini energy about our dualistic nature. The truth is that we have got to see is that some people really are more about themselves. They had the free will to be inspired to work through their mental conflict and mental conflicts and past pain and heartbreak and things like that, to choose to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. That takes work and effort. And you have to have some hope and faith and belief in yourself. And you have to be inspired to put in this work and effort to look at life from a higher perspective and put things in perspective. You know, it's not just all about me. I have dealt with people in my life that were somewhere on the spectrum within their emotional maturity level. And with all those people, I was somewhere on the spectrum of my more or less emotional maturity level, right? Some people, you know, we could have had some, you know, again, for whatever reason, we could have been drawn and attracted to each other. Like, oh, that friendship, job, relationship didn't work out. I met someone else who, you know, we seem to kind of enjoy some of the same things. A fulfillment card, of course, reminds me of the Nine of Cups. You know, we're looking for other people to be in community and relationship with. But we've got our issues, they've got their issues, and that's probably why we hang out with them. You know, and we might be investing in trying to heal ourselves, or we could have been at a more self-indulgent stage. You know, we could have been in our fire sign energy of self, really kind of more caught up in the world and all these things we wanted to manifest and things we wanted to indulge in to make ourselves feel better. And, you know, some of the people in our life, we're still moving forward with some of those people. We kind of keep learning lessons together. And, you know, so long as we're kind of on the same page, whether they're friends or family members, that um, still want to be in relationship, we have that dream of overcoming and not kind of giving up on the friendship or the relationship or the family dynamic or whatever it is, and everybody kind of takes responsibility that, there's been times I've been kind of didn't work so cooperatively with people, and I could have been a little bit more about me, and then I could have been a little bit in a mental prison because the other people were kind of in a mental prison about continuing to deal with me, and that kind of put the dream of what we were working towards at risk. And then people kind of got to work through it like, well, am I going to keep kind of doing that or am I not? And if I do kind of keep doing that, some of these other people are going to move away from me, because people aren't going to keep indulging me in being hurtful or unkind or self indulgent or more about myself. And with some people in our life, we do kind of distance ourselves from each other because sometimes some people, the Seven of Swords of the Fox can be where, some people don't want to see the truth. Maybe they are got some issues from their past they haven't dealt with, and that in turn then affects how they interact in a relationship. We could know them at work, but maybe there's things going on in their personal life, and then that kind of affects how they interact, say, with people at work. Well, you know, can we kind of, we have to see that maybe if we keep repeating certain patterns, that certain things aren't going to work out the way we want. And hopefully people see the truth of it. But what some people can do is like, oh, that doesn't work, and like people don't like that. Well, instead of really kind of seeing and dealing with the truth of it so that they free themselves from it, like, oh, I kind of figured out, you know, it could even be the despair card and the fulfillment card. Again, there could be things that people indulge in, but for some it could be substances of some sort that they indulge in that they could look to be the answer to make them feel better, but then it can have these negative repercussions and how they kind of, interact with people when they're out indulging in it or the next day out in the community or in the workplace because might be worried about what they did the night before or not feeling the best or something, or just feeling like I do have some of these issues that I struggle with, but I don't want to tell anybody the truth. And so it kind of affects me and how I interact with these people in my life. But I might have a problem of revealing the truth. And then other people could decide, oh, so people don't like this. But instead of seeing how it's just and fair that people don't like certain behavior, if people are being kind of bossy or controlling or want to be indulged in a relationship, you know, kind of in their head, for some reason, they could think that's kind of just and fair, or they probably wouldn't do it, right? And then they can't understand why other people, and then could be sad, well, why aren't these people indulging me? And some of these people don't realize they're a little full of themselves and just think, well, I can do this and I can do that and I can act this way and I can act that way. They justify it in their own head, being a little full of themselves and self indulgent. And then they don't understand why other people don't want to keep investing in them. And then they can be sad and they can be up in their head about it. But this is kind of like the Eight of Swords, and this is the Seven of Swords. In between there is an Ace of Swords that they let go of, which can be, I don't want to see the truth because I'm more about myself. Or I do think I should be indulged. I could be full of myself. I could be deceptive and manipulative, and I've decided I think that's just and fair. I should be able to be deceptive and manipulative in a relationship. Emotionally, some people, um, they keep their more emotional nature imprisoned. Nope, I don't want to do kind of more deep, meaningful relationships. Because in order to do more deep, meaningful relationships, with this card being like the Nine of Cups, I would have to offer myself love and invest in myself to work through these past pains, heartbreaks, fears, and insecurities. I'd have to offer truth and love to them within the foundation of myself at a core foundational level to free myself from these issues that manipulate me. So instead, they could indulge themselves in living more from their mind than their heart, living more aligned with investing in their more worldly egoic way of being. Nope, I have the free will to do this work and connect in with myself emotionally, work through my fears, my insecurities, past pain and heartbreak, offer myself love, compassion, forgiveness for being a fallible human being, offer love, compassion, and forgiveness to people in my life so I can move on and have a new beginning. But that takes work and effort. And that's where some people are like, either they do these hurtful and unkind things, they have people distance themselves from them, and then they don't want to see the truth of it. Some people are more about, Aries energy is also represented by the Emperor card. People want to look like a boss in the world. I want to look like I have a certain status or image or power or influence or people to view me a certain way in the world. And for some of those people, they were willing to let go of relationships with people that they could have had a more maybe stable, balanced, loving, abundant relationship with. But emotionally, these things of the world, that's like shadowy Aquarius. I want to look like a shining star in the world, or I want it to be more about me, or me being indulged in a relationship, or I want certain people to view me a certain way, and for those people to value me. And, that's when some people have more stable, balanced, emotionally mature, loving people in their life. It's like, yeah, you, but I want these people to want to be in a relationship. Why don't these people want to be in a relationship with me? I'm sad and up in my head that why don't some people who might have a certain status or image in the world? So that's kind of this not feeling good enough. Well, that's some kind of different thinking. I don't want to get into it. It gets my brain confused just even trying to wrap my brain around it, right? But some people could have people in their life that the whole thing is that's not their truth. If they were more motivated and inspired to be in a more just, fair, inspiring, loving, balanced, emotionally mature relationship, they would be motivated and inspired by that. But for some of the people, that's not really their truth. But they might like to view themselves as being that type of person. But again, Pisces energy can talk about the fact that we kind of have these things kind of buried in our subconscious that we don't quite realize, which can be past pain and heartbreak, not feeling good enough, feeling rejected. So we can be fearful of love for some people, and some people it's just that, well, that would require me to not be more about myself in these things of the world. And really, that is my truth. Or because I've been hurt before, I really have a fear of love. If I do love, I run the risk of being hurt again. And I'd have to have some hope and faith and belief in myself and in others and in love, and I don't. So though I might be sad that I didn't move forward with certain people in my life, and I might not let my more, if our ego is kind of running our life, our more authentic, loving nature just gets to look out through the eyeballs, but they never get to come out to play in the world because we decided we'd be happier living more from our egoic nature, living more from our mind than our heart. I get hurt doing love. I'm not doing love. I am willing to give up more balanced, loving, authentic relationships because I get hurt doing that. I will move forward in relationships that are good for my ego and my image, to be in relationships with other people who are kind of maybe also more inspired to be in relationships for the status, the ego, the image. And maybe where neither of us really do love, aren't more authentic, and we just balance out our emotions about the fact that we have decided we would rather be in a relationship more for these things of the world. As long as it looks okay, works out okay. Both could be sad, both could be up in a mental prison, but these things of the world are either what's most important to them or their fear of really being more authentic. So the people who might be more motivated and inspired to create the illusion of what a wonderful life we have, try to create, that's like, you're either being authentic and honest and you are in a relationship because of love, or you're trying to create an illusion, that's also shadowy Pisces, of look how wonderful our life is, trying to deceive and manipulate. Look how wonderful our life is. And it has a lot of what other people have in relationships at whatever stage or whatever of life that they're at. But theirs might be more out of the love of hiding behind their ego nature, their defensiveness to love, or that they emotionally are sure that if they have these certain things in the world, they'll be happy. And, some of the people who are more about themselves or more about these things of the world and not really love, they cannot like it when other people kind of see the truth and kind of see through the illusion. And some people that are kind of living their life that way right now could have had some people in their life that, again, friends or family or whoever, that, they view life the way they view it, a little bit more motivated and inspired to maybe grow and heal and mature yourself and be more authentic or loving and trying to offer love and encouragement and truth and love to these people. And some of those people were always hoping those people would keep doing that in their life. But, kind of eventually we kind of realize that, we do live in a world of duality. And people in their Gemini energy and their fire sign energy of kind of what they're motivated and inspired emotionally to invest in and their time, energy, and effort, is different. Well, you kind of are more about these things or those things or you. And other people want to work together with people more in truth and love and more just and fair and maybe not be friends because of these reasons of the world. And then some people just don't want to be in a relationship with certain people. It's like, well, what kind of certain status or image or whatever do you have? Oh, well, if you don't have that, I might like you. I might even have love for you, but sorry. These things are more important to me. And eventually other people can kind of see that those things are more important to them. And sometimes people, we can all have a hard time if we have some friends or family members that for example, that maybe they're more immature. Maybe they are kind of full of themselves. Maybe they are kind of bossy and controlling, or we could know they got a lot of things that manipulate them. Again, people have the only person who can ultimately free them or us, freeing us, is ourself. And until people get inspired to even want to work through maybe the emotional confusion and the mental confusion and deal with past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurity, you have to. The hammer kind of makes me think of kind of like the judgment card. We have to be willing to take accountability. And we have to quit shadowy energy of, in like the Seven of Swords can be, and it says Scorpio, and the despair card is kind of like the Five of Cups, which is Scorpio. I don't want to see the truth. I don't maybe want to see the truth about myself and hold myself accountable. I have an image and status I'm trying to maintain in the world. I can't admit I was a fallible human being, that I was immature, that I was maybe kind of self-indulgent or fearful or got caught up in my head. Or maybe I was tempted in my lust and my greed and my pride and my ego. The truth sets you free. But some people, again, you've got to be willing to get out of your ego to admit I was a fallible human being who had some growing up and maturing to do. And you have to be willing to be held accountable for your actions. And some people are like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep, I think, because Aries energy and the judgment, I have decided I'm going to keep moving forward with the illusion. I'm going to keep moving forward and just balance out my emotions about the fact that I invested in certain things and I might have said, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Oh my gosh, it's like my dream come true. Even though, and we could put work and effort into something and we wanted it to be a dream come true. But then when we kind of realize it's not, maybe we contributed to part of it not being our dream come true. Maybe some of the people we got in relationship with, we kind of found out that maybe they weren't who they said they were. But some people can stay in it all more for the ego or the image. People could stay in jobs and friendships where people are being abusive, hurtful, unkind. Well, I have a certain status and image. Or I'm not willing to become independent of this situation that by worldly standards could look really good. Or maybe I do have someone indulging me. I don't think that person's going anywhere. I might not really love them, but it's important for me to be more about myself. And I think I have someone, male or female, and whether I'm male or female, is willing to kind of indulge me. I don't think they'll ever free themselves. Isn't that the most important thing? To be in a relationship is good for your ego and image in a way, because you never had anybody who had more hope and faith and belief in themselves that challenge you to heal and grow and mature yourself, who probably will never do that within themselves either. And but everybody's too fearful to become independent of each other, so we keep moving forward in the relationship because we're both fearful and afraid of leaving it or leaving the job. And though it might not be our truth, it looks good, so we're going to stay in it. So some people are sad right now. They had a dream, and they could be in a mental prison of calling judgment on some people in their life that, or ways of being or ways of thinking, knowing there could be other people in their life that want to be indulged or something. I would say some high vibe people are like, love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And it isn't about some people kind of having this idea that they should be this indulged person in the workplace friendship or relationship, that we should be up in our head about standing up for ourselves and loving and believing in ourselves, or being more independent of them. You know, they should be able, they think they're the shining star and they're the center focus. And if we don't indulge them, like maybe we wouldn't, you know, keep moving forward in that job, friendship, or relationship. And they think, of course, we should want to stay in it, maybe for this certain status or image, or because we're friends or family, that we should keep indulging them. And some people are like, no, I think you have a lot of things that manipulate you. I think your idea of love and what you think is just and fair is much different than my idea of what I think is just and fair. And I kind of think you have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And you also might be a little full of yourself. And I love and believe in myself. So, do I wish this relationship would be more balanced? Yeah, but I can only do my part. I offer people truth and love, and they, in their free will, have the free will to choose how they want to react or interact. And I'm going to be fine either way, because I'm not deceived about the truth. Love is to be just and fair. And when people are not acting in a just and fair way and treating other people in a more stable, grounded, self aware, insightful, enlightened, loving way, then I think you're the one who is probably going to learn some hard lessons in life. Because you don't want to see the truth. You want to keep moving forward with this way of viewing life that is more from a worldly, egoic view of life. And you think, I don't know, maybe that you're going to have what other people have that invest in truth and love. If you're going to work together with other people, both people have to be taking action and investing in truth and love. And some people think, well, no, I just maybe need to find someone who is more loving, giving, nurturing, tempered in their ego, who doesn't act like I act, but will keep indulging me in a relationship. It's like, yeah, you need to go find some, that's an option. You could go, and some of those people are repeating that pattern right now. Getting in another relationship with someone who they know is more inspired by truth and love. And they're like, this is like living the dream. So you're not more about yourself. You're not more deceptive or manipulative, or you've kind of freed yourself to be loving and nurturing and supportive. Damn, this is great. Yeah, let's keep doing this. But eventually, the people who are free from these things that manipulate some of these other people are going to want these people to invest in being that type of person too, so that they are in a relationship with someone who interacts and exchanges like resources with them in a relationship emotionally in the same way that they do. But until then, the shadowy people will keep indulging in the relationship until, like, the high vibe people in their life become enlightened to the truth that this really isn't your truth, is it? It was like, nope, I'm not ever going to do that. It will be a more mismatched relationship. And some of the high vibe people work through all of this being sad that someone does maybe use their emotions more manipulatively. Is, if you're not being authentic and honest and open to doing a more deep, meaningful, authentic, loving relationship, it is kind of superficial and shallow. And it is like the person who's more self-protective or defensive is kind of being indulged and indulging in the relationship. While emotionally, they stay imprisoned, reject the truth that it should be love, and decide that, well, I think this is just and fair. I've decided this is just and fair, so you should think it's just and fair. And the other people are like, but I don't think this is just and fair. The truth that you operate from, you basically offer more these things of the world to be in a relationship, to indulge in the relationship. But I had a dream of being in a relationship with people who are motivated and inspired from love. And that's not your truth. And so those people work through all the issues about leaving it. They work through their mental conflict. My dream can't come into reality here. I do need to move forward in my life. And high vibe energy and high vibe Virgo and high vibe Capricorn is about freeing yourself from kind of what's not aligned with your truth. And those people are moving on. They could have offered truth and love to some people in their life that, hey, I kind of realized I got in a more mismatched relationship. I maybe didn't pursue a friendship or relationship with you at different times because I was pursuing, learning this lesson in life. I've gotten out of my ego about it. I've dealt with the pain, the heartbreak, the disappointment, whatever. And I'm looking for people who've learned some of these same lessons. If it's people I knew in my past, if it's people in my present, if it's people as I move forward, I'm looking for people who want to move forward that are more on the same page as me, because those are the people I could have my dream come into reality with. And while some people are doing that in their life, some other people are seeing them go do that, but they're not willing to go do that. And high vibe people kind of offer love to it. I accept the truth. Everybody's where they're at, And wouldn't everybody be more open to giving and receiving love and being in more stable, grounded, emotionally mature relationships if they were at that stage of life, I mean, when we're like 15 emotionally, we're going to act like a 15-year-old in a relationship, and, but some people, it's like they could be 40 or 60 years old, but they got the emotional maturity level of like 15 or 25-year-old, right? And then that can be the reason why some people who are much older get in relationships with people who are much younger, because they are on the same kind of emotional maturity level. And, to move forward with people who wanted them to work through these issues and work through their mental conflict about admitting maybe they have some lessons to learn in life and healing or growing and maturing to do. It's like, you can go. I'll just go find someone else to get in a relationship with. And some of those people could have thought, and again, some people, you can be a little full of yourself and think, oh, well, I'll just find someone else to get in a relationship with. Well, it's kind of hard, it's just like finding someone who becomes a good friend. We can all know lots of social acquaintances from work and social activities or whatever. But to find someone that we really more click with, that's like a gift. And sometimes people didn't recognize something as a gift when they had it. And then some people kind of found out that, oh shit, I just thought, you were loving and nurturing and supportive. I just thought all these, I thought it was because of me. I thought that's why you were like that. It's like, no, it was because of me. That's just the person I am. It's like, oh, you know, some people could be starting to see that. It's like, oh, those people free willingly chose to be inspired to work together with me and be loving and encouraging and supportive to me because they operate from a foundation of love. And some people thought it was because of who they were. And they thought, all these other people will want to be in a relationship with me. And some of those people, trying to sift through the people that got their own issues, who maybe also have a problem with dealing with some of these issues and freeing themselves from things that manipulate them and, being more just or fair or loving. Anyway, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Aries energy? They're working through regrets of the past, offering love and truth to it, thinking and listening to their intuition about how they want to move forward with, who are the people in their life who do seem to be stable and grounded and mature and truthful and loving, and who are the people who might want to keep being in a friendship or relationship or keep you working at that job, but you think it's something else that drives them. And, you know, the high vibe people are going to listen to their intuition. They're not willing to give up on their dreams, and they are willing to reveal their truth and speak their truth and get out of their ego, put in work and effort to work together with people, offer truth and love to the people in their life. And if those people, some of them are like, what? I thought we were going to keep doing this. And they're like, no, I want to move forward and be more free from these things. You want to do that too. And if some of those people are like, oops, no, well, then they'll become independent of those people and keep investing in the people in their life who do work with them that way, and go invest in some other people in the world who they also think are on that same page. And the shadowy people are going to go probably either try to manipulate someone else and deceive them about the truth of what really drives and motivates them, or if they are in a relationship with someone who they think is kind of on the same page as them, or more about indulging or making their life more about the things of the world, if they got someone like that in their life, they might move forward with those people. And if those are the people that are currently in their life, they'll keep hanging out with those people. So the truth sets us free. So we got to get out of our ego and accept the truth. Not everyone's motivated and inspired by love. For some people, that's like the devil. You are asking them not to be more about themselves, or not more about their ego or image, or detached from their self-protective defensive nature. How dare you? You are tempting them with love. And some of them are like, I'm not going there. And other people are like, I'm going to work through this stuff because I want to be in relationships with people who are like that. What's coming up for the high vibe people that they might not see coming? The Emperor, the King of Pentacles, the Sun, the Two of Swords, and the Hierophant. Why? Because of the Seven of Cups. Well, high vibe people didn't want to keep being confused. I can have love for people and I can want them to be in my life, but, if people are doing things that, you know, if people like to try to present themselves as being just and fair people, but they're not being just and fair, you know, I've got to work through that emotional confusion. And again, the Seven of Cups, kind of like the Despair card here and the Fox card, is people are emotionally complex. We're emotionally complex. We can have contradictory feelings towards people, and especially, if we viewed people a certain way. And maybe at one point in time, that was the person they were. But during life, people's life can kind of drift off into the ditch. And then they're not the person that they were. And also be willing to see the truth that sometimes, people can present themselves any way they want to in the world. Oh, I'm a just and fair person. I'm a loving person. I'm a family person. I'm stable, grounded, and emotionally mature. I'm a pillar of society. And then you get to know them, and it was all just an illusion. Do they maybe have certain status, image, or attractiveness, or whatever, social clout, power, attractive, whatever? Yeah. But the substance at a core of what drives them is not high vibe Scorpios, deep, meaningful relationships. And that's the kind of relationships you want to be in, not shadowy Scorpio. That's more emotionally shallow and superficial. And you could have seen that some people, because of these things that manipulate them, they're happy maybe making their life more about those things. But you weren't willing to live, you're not caught up in that illusion like they are. some of those things that manipulate them don't manipulate you. And because you wanted to get to the truth, you offered love to it, and you decided, again in the King of Pentacles, holding the one pentacle, I want to get to the truth. And I also view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy. I want to free myself from things that manipulate me. Everybody else can decide not to, or they can do it too. But I know I want to free myself. I don't want to keep being manipulated. In the Sun, I want to be enlightened to the truth. I don't want to live a life of illusion. I don't want to be in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people where it's more about an illusion. I don't want to be in relationships with people who are living more from the Sun is Leo energy, so that can be our ego. The masculine cards can represent whether people are male or female, that they're operating more from their egoic nature. I want to deal with people who have been illuminated to the truth, who acknowledge we have this dualistic nature in the Two of Swords. And it's not about creating an illusion that I've grown and I've healed and I've matured. Know that you really have. And you acknowledge the truth that you do have a more egoic, nature. We have to temper, kind of bring the hammer down on our more immature nature. You are not going out to play in the world. Instead of keeping our loving nature imprisoned, kind of in the back seat, we keep our shadow nature more imprisoned in the back seat. No, I am doing love. I'm going to offer love to you to temper our fears and our insecurities, to keep moving forward more from a foundation of love. And when I get tempted to more operate from my egoic nature, I'm not going to stay in denial of it. You're being bossy, you're being controlling, you're being selfish, you're being more about yourself. And if other people are acting that way, I'm not going to stay, to a source and say about not wanting to see the truth. I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. I'm going to work together with people in truth and love, being just, fair, encouraging, walking the talk. Everybody else has their free will to choose to do that or not. And the people who choose not to, male or female, they like to kind of create this illusion that that's who they are. But by their words and their actions, I see that that's not the truth. And I've seen through the illusion. I'm not going to stay confused and in denial of the truth. You either act with character and integrity and truth and love, and you're just and fair, or you're not. And in the Sun, it's kind of, with a small child there, it's kind of like, I wish you peace, but I'm going to listen to my intuition. You have your truth, and you're taking action in that truth, and I have my truth, and it's different. And that's okay. Different strokes for different folks. But you do your truth. I'm going to do my truth. And I'm not going to keep indulging. I'm going to move away from people who their truth of how they like to live their life and what they think is just and fair is different than my idea. And you're going to invest in this new beginning, listening to your intuition about who are the people who really are who they say they are, and who are the people who create an illusion that's who they are, but they're not. And I think as you take this action within yourself, the Emperor can talk about making good decisions in your life, growing and healing and maturing yourself in the King of Pentacles, taking action in the Sun, being who you say you are, being encouraging and loving and just and fair and mature in relationships. There's going to be other people who are also in that energy that are going to listen to their intuition, who are going to want to be in friendships and relationships with you because their intuition tells them that you are who you say you are. You are not creating an illusion. And they too have been in relationships with people who created an illusion, who it hurt, but they had to distance themselves from those people because they couldn't keep indulging in the illusion. If that's your truth, I'll let you go live your life and hang out with who you want to go hang out with, but that's not my truth. And then you kind of have these new beginnings with people who kind of are at the same truth of life at wherever you're at, you know? So, and the King of Pentacles and the Hierophant, it's all these different institutions of the world. For some people, if you're already in a relationship and your friendships and family dynamics, the people in your life who work together with you in that way are people you're going to keep moving forward with. If this was a job, you might put in the work to get a new job. And this will say, because you listened to your intuition, weren't willing to stay in denial of the truth, you'll go have this new beginning. If you got out of one friendship or relationship, as you do this work, you have the possibility, it opens you up to have these new beginnings with other people because you're not continuing to invest your time, energy, and effort into people who aren't working together with you in that way. I just noticed that up until the end of the story, we don't have any pentacles. The pentacles talk about bringing it into the 3D world. Everything is a possibility. It's like every choice that people make, and that's the Emperor and the King of Pentacles. People have to make the decision to invest in illuminating the truth and taking action on their truth to start to bring those dreams into reality. And some people maybe never even take the action. They just keep staying stuck. Or because they don't want to reveal the truth, don't want to speak the truth, don't want to have to take responsibility or be more mature, they keep investing in moving forward, repeating the same pattern just with other people, What's coming up for people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming? So high vibe people are taking action. They're revealing the truth. They're getting out of their ego. They're listening to their intuition. They're investing in new beginnings with people and listening to their intuition about all the different people they meet. What's coming up for the people in a little more shadowy energy that they don't see coming? The Two of Cups and the shadow side, which can also represent the devil. Why? Because of the Four of Pentacles. Well, if we were to offer the one pentacle to the Four of Pentacles, we would move forward in life differently because we were willing to see the truth. But in the Four of Pentacles, it can mean that people have this way of living life or viewing life that they're unwilling to let go of. The truth would set them free, but some people, the devil or their own shadow nature, their pride, their ego, their fear, their insecurity, their codependency, whatever, stops them from seeing the truth, and it will keep stopping them from seeing the truth. When we're ready to deal with the truth, we're ready. And sometimes we got to hit rock bottom before we see the truth. The devil can talk about these things that kind of get a stranglehold on us. And it's hard to get out of those things because we were sure that was the answer. That was going to make us feel better. That was, the person for us or something, right? And then some people are still sure that something or someone is the answer, even though some of those people aren't investing in them, aren't in a relationship with them. No, 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 I'm sure they will. Okay. While people are working through their own issues, it doesn't mean we can't move forward in our life and enjoying our life. And high vibe energy being a good leader in the world. High vibe Aries being a good leader. The Hierophant being a good leader. The King of Pentacles, walking your talk, being authentic, putting work and effort into other parts of things that are part of your idea of the dream life. Investing in myself, enjoying my life, my friends, my family, my career, my whatever, all these different things. And then there's some people, it's like, I'm not doing love. I hold back from love, and the devil can be because I fear it. I get hurt. And for other people, the Four of Pentacles can mean that people are kind of more selfish and greedy or more about themselves. They love their shadow nature. I love being about me. I like indulging in these things. And we just have to get over our ego and accept the free will of it. But because people who might be a little more selfish or greedy, the devil can be a lot of things: bossy, controlling, immature, self-indulgent, like to try to manipulate or control people, like to be all about themselves or something, whatever it is. Some people want to be, again, in friendships or relationships or jobs, but they don't really want to put in more work and effort. Like, I want reward. I want the rewards that other people get, but I don't want to be more open. I don't want to work more cooperatively with people. I'm kind of stubborn or prideful, and I'm not willing to move forward, The devil has got some issues. And until they're willing to reveal the truth, accept the truth, see the truth, they're probably going to make their life about these other things, and then other people in their life see that truth, and then some of those people that want to hold on to them, that want to be in a relationship with them, we can only stay in denial of the truth for so long. And that's where, if they keep repeating this pattern, they're going to have some other people, more high vibrational people in their life, that are like, you know what? Everybody's had to kind of learn some lessons the hard way. And apparently that's where you're at. We've offered you love and encouragement, but you seem to not want to see the truth, or you got some lessons to learn, and you're going to have to go learn them the hard way. And they might get in relationships with some people who aren't, if we haven't learned to love ourselves, we can get in relationships with people who aren't very loving. Well, as long as we think we don't deserve love, we'll be in relationships with people who aren't very loving. And until we think, why don't I think I deserve to be in a more just, fair, authentic, loving relationship, then we do this work within ourselves. And some people, they just more don't want to do love, fear love. I just want to make my life, or what's more important to me is to have this certain status and image in the world. That's what the world tells me I should make my life about. That's what makes me important. That's what makes me valuable. And I'm in it. And it could even be, look at the things I go indulge in. Look at me doing this and look at me doing that. I'm like living the dream. But they're kind of emotionally immature people. High vibe Emperor is where, you're not just about yourself, and you are willing to learn lessons in life and to take other people into consideration when the decisions that you're going to make are going to affect them. And other people are like, I don't want to do that. I'm just about me. And I want to find someone else who's willing to indulge me and make it more about me, or these things of the world. And if they can find someone who's willing to do that, well, then I would much rather have them in a relationship with someone like themselves than going out and trying to manipulate a loving person who they know that's not their truth. I would much rather have them in relationship with people who are motivated and inspired by the same things they are. Don't try to trap and indulge and deceive and manipulate someone who's more motivated and inspired by truth and love when you know that's not your truth. Go get in a relationship with someone who's kind of more motivated and inspired by the same things you are. But the devil doesn't want other demons fawning around them. The devil wants to snag an angel. And some people already realized someone was being deceptive and manipulative, trying to keep them imprisoned with them, hoping because of the ego or the image or the status or what would people say that people would stay in the relationship. And some people are like, I'm not doing this. This is like a deception. This isn't just and fair. The world can think what they want to think. I'm going to go live my truth. I adhere to a higher truth and justice. And so then they'll work on someone else that they think they can trap in a relationship, because we all kind of want these things of the world. And some people try to use those things of the world to get people to be in a relationship and stay in a relationship with them. But they're in a normal tarot deck. The devil card looks just like the lover's card, but instead of an angel there's the devil. And the people have chains and shackles on them. It's limiting, it's oppressive, it's confining, it's restrictive, it's manipulative. It looks like love, quacks like love, but not really driven and motivated by love. It's more maybe how it benefits them, and it's not for love. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.